Hello everyone, Kasia Avery here, and welcome to your bonus lesson. Today, on this lesson, my biggest goal will be to encourage you to get your paints out, get your paintbrushes out, papers, and get a little bit messy. After this lesson, you'll end up with a collection of very varied pieces of paper and materials for your future collages. Pieces that can be used for our classes, or you can use on your daily adventures in our journaling and mixed media. There is no, it's not something you have to save for later, but surely will be useful for the whole year of our classes. Okay, so I will be also trying to show you as well a few painting techniques, so there is something different that you learn, but hopefully it will be all, while we're having fun, so it's not gonna be boring learning. What I need you to have is a selection of papers and different tissues, maybe pieces of paper, basically. I will show you in a minute what I gathered, but one word you really want to remember is variety. Firstly, let's just have a look at these papers. First kind of paper that I have here is just printing paper. Very plain, very basic. I'm sure most of you have it, so get yourself 2 or 3 sheets of that. On 2 other sheets, maybe you want to print some poems or some lyrics of your favorite songs. I think that's a very good idea. I've done that with 3 poems these are lyrics actually, that I really like, printed them twice. I also have pages from old books, and here the word variety is very important again, because you want to have a selection of pages from different books, because different papers from different time and period will be reacting with your mediums differently, so then I think it's worth trying and giving it a go on different kinds of paper. I also have some tissues. This one is actually like a proper nice tissue with some printed text on it, but I also have some vellum. I know some mediums won't stick to it at all, but I will give it a go. I'll try. I'll have some tea bag paper, a Baca tissue, lens tissue, also some craft paper, just a sheet of quite thick paper, and another one, a coffee filter, which also might be nice, even an old paper bag, pieces of rag and fiber paper, some old maps, not that old actually, some pages from magazines. These are not necessarily very glossy, and I think that's gonna help if it's about paints. So maybe you want to look for something like this. Even a piece from a leaflet or advertising folder with some nice flowers on it. I think that might be nice. Also, you want to remember that those paper that you're choosing, mostly let them be quite thin. Here I have an exception, this is quite thick, but I only have 1 or 2 pieces of that, and the rest is quite thin, because later when you will want to collage with this paper, it's just easier to stick those thinner ones in your art journal, and those thicker ones, they're always a pain. Also, maybe as you noticed on my table, I have 2 pieces of wrapping paper, which we bought like on a roll, a craft paper, and that might be very useful not only to protect the table, but also as I will be painting, I will be making a lot of mess. And I think this paint that's gonna end up on this wrapping paper, that will create something that I might be very happy with and later use it. So we'll see how it's gonna turn out. So now let's talk about some tools and paints that you will need for this lesson. I have a tub of tools here. These all probably will be very useful. I have some big palette knives, small palette knives, sponge brushes, just normal brushes, palette knives that are made out of plastic, texture tools, even an old fork is here. Everything might be useful. We'll be going a little bit wild, so that's a good idea to give yourself opportunities. Also, I have a brayer, which might be very nice to use for this lesson. And now if it's about paints, well, this is entirely your choice. Everything goes here, besides one type of mediums and paints, which is oils. So try to not use oil pastels, wax pastels, also probably not very good, wax crayons, and oil paints, of course. We are preparing now papers that later you will want to use in your art journals. And if you'll cover them with a greasy layer of oil medium, then you won't be able to probably apply another layer on top, which is something you might want to do, probably, surely you will want to do. So avoid oil and wax pastels and paints. But don't avoid acrylic paints. Prepare yourself a selection of few colors, and very good news for this lesson is that you don't have to look on your color wheel, you don't have to worry whether these colors go together or not. We don't care about it at all. Just choose colors that you like today. Okay, that's the best guideline I think I can give you if it's about colors. Whatever you like today will go. So I have some heavy body paints, I have some more fluid paints, it doesn't really matter. I also have two spray paints, black and white. These are proper sprays, you know, they are quite opaque, very opaque actually, in fact, quite smelly as well, so you gotta ventilate your room well, open the window or the door, and they are quite fun to use, so I definitely recommend experimenting with them. I have my big box of sprays, other kinds of sprays like Glimmer Mists and Lindy Stamp Gang, and some homemade ones, different colors, everything goes really, like I said. So this will be one of my favorite mediums to use today, I'm sure about that. I also have a box of soft pastels, soft dry pastels. They're not wax pastels, not oil pastels. If I will use them, I will make sure also that I cover these pieces with fixative, spray fixative. So you must remember about it too, otherwise they won't be permanent. I also have a box of my Neo colors. These are water-soluble wax pastels, but I found out that they aren't as waxy as wax crayons, for example, so they are quite good. They are on the edge, I would say, but quite good, not too bad. Another thing, I also have a little bottle with Black India ink, just a fine tip applicator bottle, that might be nice. I also have a bowl of tea. It's very strong tea. I just usually put 2 or 3 cheap tea bags in I don't know, maybe that's 2 cups of water, and leave it to get stronger and stronger and cool down, and later I'll use it on my papers. I also have stencils, some that I really like, some that I didn't use in for ages, and I think it's time maybe to bring them back to life. These will be very useful. What else do I have? Of course, some paper towel, wet tissues, just to keep myself quite clean. Of course, also you maybe want to use a barrier cream on your hands, because we will be painting with our hands. We will be using these watercolors with our hands. And sometimes also these sprays will, you know, make your hands slightly dirty. So you can use a barrier cream or gloves. I was always against using gloves when painting, because I always thought that you don't get this feeling and it isn't that authentic, but I think I changed my mind slightly. Also, I'm pregnant now. By the time you watch this video, hopefully I won't be pregnant anymore and we'll have a little baby rather than a big bump. But now I am, and I think it's a good idea to use some gloves, just because some paints are toxic, and even if it says that they aren't toxic, I'd just rather, you know, not risk it. So gloves or barrier cream might be a good idea. Also, just because your hands will get dirty, you might want to think about it. Get yourself a glass of water, because you will be working quite fast. Put some nice music on, and let's do this. But also, I am sure that you're thinking where you should do this. Do you have enough space? Well, ideal would be to put all these pieces of paper that we gathered next to each other in a row or on some bigger space, so we can see them all at once and work on them all at once. If you don't have such space on your desk, maybe think about floor. I would usually do it on the floor, I think, because I like the way I can look down at my at what I'm working on when I'm on the floor. But because I'm pregnant, it's not going to be very comfortable again, so I am just using this big table, which we are very lucky to have here in the studio. But maybe you have a table in your dining room, or just like I said, a piece of floor that you can protect with some wrapping paper. And if you don't, then just work on smaller batches of paper at a time, and it's gonna be fine too. Okay, I think I talked a little bit too much once again, as always, and it's time to start